Hey, do you prefer to find the joy in life, or do you just want some help with that? If so, you're in the right place. So come on in and join the Joy Bunny clan. This is the My Slice of Life podcast. When I say the word productivity, what do you think of? Is it just getting stuff done, ticking off that to-do list, wearing yourself out, doing absolutely everything? Or is it more than that? Is it better than that? And are there better ways to achieve it? Welcome to the My Slice of Life podcast. And if you are new here, my name is Sharon and I am your Highland host. Yes, I am actually from the Highlands of Scotland. I'm not making that up. So well done if you can understand my accent, as I keep seeing on YouTube that the Scottish accent is one of the difficult ones for many people. Today's episode kicks off a brand new season, which is the 7th season of the podcast, and it's called Let's Get Productive. It's completely different to the last season, which was all about mysteries, and that's what this podcast is all about. Life, and all the topics within it. It's just that I'm bringing them to you from my slice of life, hence the title. So without any more waffling, let's crack on and get productive. I want to point out right here at the beginning, I'm talking about personal productivity. I'm not a businesswoman, and I'm not talking about this from a business or how to make money perspective. This is just about us as people, and for many of us, whether we like it or not, the next few months are often the busiest time of the year. Maybe you homeschool like we do, but even if you don't, school means routine, projects, places to be, and so on. Then there's Halloween. Some people go all out, some don't bother. For others, there's going to be Thanksgiving, birthdays, anniversaries, and of course, Christmas. And I'm sure I've missed out a lot of other ones too, but you can see why I thought about us all being busy, being productive, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. And don't forget, all of this extra stuff is on top of the everyday stuff we already do. It's a lot. So what is productivity? It will mean different things to different people, but it affects all of us in one way or another. It's a word we hear everywhere, but it's worth asking. What does it really mean? How does it fit into our lives? And are there ways we can do it better? I believe there are. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately. With so many things to juggle, there's work, homeschooling, caring, cooking, cleaning, shopping, dealing with the bills, gardening, and on the list goes. It can be hard to strike the balance and get things done when I need them done, without being left feeling like a worn out rag at the end of the day. Do you feel the same? Can you relate to this? And please say yes, so I know I am not the only one. So let's take a little breath, and we'll start by looking at a more traditional definition of productivity. For most people, it's often equated with output, how much work you get done in a certain amount of time. Productivity is tied to efficiency and results, and that's great for business, right? But we're not businesses, and when we apply that same thinking to our personal lives, things get a bit more complicated. I mean, is output the only measure of productivity? Is productivity really just about how much you can produce or get done? What about in our creative or personal areas of our lives? How do we measure how productive we are there? Is that when, instead of looking at the quantity, we start looking at the quality of what we produce? And just as important, how that process makes us feel. I mean, think about your day so far. Do you feel fulfilled? Are you moving towards your goals? Do you even have goals? So you can see where I'm going with this. There's more to it than just producing. And this is what I mean when I say it's a very personal thing. And that brings us to the heart of today's episode. What does productivity mean for you? Notice I'm saying for you and not to you. And there's a reason for this. See, when I was making notes for this episode, our son came into the room and I asked him, what does productivity mean to you? And he gave me an answer Something like being able to produce something or an item which people want, having an end product. So I changed the question a little and I said to him, okay, so what does productivity mean for you? And this time he answered differently. This time he talked about achieving his goals or taking steps towards them, about being able to do things he wanted to do towards an end goal he has chosen and having a real feeling of achievement. Do you hear the difference there? They are two very different answers just from changing one word. So I'm not asking you what productivity means to you. We all know it's producing things. It's an outcome. I'm asking you what it means for you. And I really want you to take a moment and think about that. Maybe it is being able to get through your to-do list every day so you can sit down and watch something at the end of the day before you go to bed and that's your reward. But maybe it's something else entirely. Maybe it's about spending some quality time on something meaningful to you. Or even being able to have the time to relax and recharge. Maybe it's more important to enjoy what you are doing as opposed to just doing more. And this is where I want to bring in the idea of productivity versus busyness. One thing I have learned over the years, and bear in mind I'm 50, so I've got a few years under my belt now, is that productivity doesn't mean the same as busyness. How many of you have ever had a day where you were busy from morning till night? Just go, busy. But at the end of the day, you don't feel like you've accomplished anything. There's nothing to show for it. You feel like you've been going round in circles and you'll have said to yourself, I haven't achieved a thing here. I know I have, and it's frustrating because busyness can often hide a lack of true productivity, and it's easy to confuse activity with achievement. But they're not always the same thing. Just doing more doesn't always mean you're actually being productive. It just means you're being busy. Okay, so to put that into context, think about this. Have you ever had someone visiting your house, and be honest, someone you didn't really like or even want in your house? Maybe your other half is a friend that you're not that keen on. And what do you do when they come over? You get busy. You'll be bringing in drinks or food. You're back and forth, being very busy. But not, perhaps, being productive. We often think of it in terms of tasks, to-do lists, projects. But have you ever thought about your emotional productivity? Do you process your emotions in a healthy way? Do you even consider that as productivity? It's an unusual one, and I don't think most of us do, but isn't being able to deal with emotions and situations a goal we all have? Don't we all want to be that person, to be calm when faced with adversity, to be happy in life in general? Isn't that productive too? Then there's physical productivity, which could be anything from exercising to gardening, and I would argue that time spent in a garden is perhaps one of the most productive things you can do. And if you are a regular to the podcast, you will know that I'm bound to say this. You don't just get the vegetables at harvest, you get knowledge, fresh air, exercise. And if you don't know, I have an allotment, and I often refer to it as my outdoor church because I feel a spiritual connection when I'm working out there. I feel like my soul is being fed. And I do say that quite a lot when I come back. I feel refreshed. I feel like my soul has been fed. There's no other way to say it. And if that isn't productive, I don't know what is. But bear in mind with all of this, there is a balance to be had. There's a fine line between healthy productivity and over productivity. Many of us push ourselves to constantly do more. But at what cost? And why do we feel we need to do that anyway? Who do we feel is going to benefit by us adding even more to our own plates? Just doing more isn't the answer. And I want you to think now about how you measure your success in terms of your own productivity. And maybe we need to be redefining what success looks like. For example, instead of measuring my day by how many tasks I got to tick off my list, maybe I should focus on whether I did what mattered the most. And sometimes what matters most is just taking a break, getting outside in the sunshine or going for a walk with my son. Spending time talking and laughing and just enjoying our day can be one of the most productive things we can do. Remember, we live in a world that glorifies this hustle culture. Ask someone how they are and they'll tell you how busy they are, not how happy they are or how fulfilling their day has been. But more isn't always better. Sometimes less is more, and sometimes different is even better. And I want to briefly touch on the idea of aligning productivity with your personal values. Are you being productive in a way that supports the life you want to live? For some people, productivity might mean hitting career milestones, while for others it could be more to do with raising a family. I want to give you a personal example here which I think will demonstrate this a little better. So when I was growing up, I was encouraged to pass as many exams as I could. Just get exams, get your exams, get your exams, and go to college. So that's what I did. I did a course at college over 3 years, even though there was a lot of the course I didn't enjoy. And I actually spent a good deal of time wanting to leave, but I didn't. I kept thinking, just get the degree. So I did. Then it became, just get the career. So I did. Then others were telling me, now you need to start working up the career ladder. And I thought, why? Because I didn't want to. I realised very quickly on that it wasn't the right career for me. But I stayed in it for 8 years because, to be honest, I didn't know what else to do. But I was miserable. Was I productive? Well, I got things done. But I know if I'd been happier and felt like I was in the right place, I could have done things better. Fast forward to the present day, and now I'm in the right place. I have a family, I'm homeschooling, I'm happy, and with that brings productivity. I've never been more productive in my life, and I used to have a daily to-do list, but I made a change which I think has made me more productive. Instead of the daily list, I now have a weekly list. Now, I'm a list person. If you're not, that's fine, I am. But I know if something doesn't get done one day, I don't need to panic because I know it will be done by the end of the week. We have a saying in our house. It's like a family motto. It's, it all gets done eventually. Now, things with deadlines obviously get done first, but there's time for breaks, time for talking, time for not being busy. And what does this produce? Well, a happy me, a happy house, and a happy family. Like I said a wee minute ago, I've never been more productive or happier, and it all matches my values. So think about what matters most to you right now and how you can use your time and energy to support that. Are there things you need to stop doing or things you need to do differently? Where are you wasting your time and wasting your energy? What are you doing which is making you downright miserable, and can you get rid of it? That would be a very productive thing to do, I would suggest. So being productive can be said to be doing something that is worth effort, by your own standards and within your own values. In its very name, it implies an end result, a product. Something is achieved. Maybe it is a physical thing you can hold in your hand, like a painting. Maybe it's the result of effort you can see, like a clean house. Or maybe you can't physically see it, a goal you've achieved which might not be something others can see, like finishing a book you've been reading. Productivity is so much more than checking off tasks on a list. It's about quality, fulfillment, and how well your actions align with your goals and values. The next time you ask yourself if you're productive, take a moment to reflect on what that means for you. Did you do something meaningful today? Did you take a step toward what truly matters to you? Now, as the season progresses, I'm going to be bringing you ideas about how we can become more productive without needing to become busier. So make sure you follow the podcast so you don't miss out. But I want to leave you with these 5 points. Firstly, being productive is doing something that is worth the effort and aligns with your values. The second point I want to give you is it has an end result which could be physical, visible, or known only to you. Productivity has a feeling of achievement. Being productive isn't just being busy. And the last point is what productivity means is actually very personal for each and every one of us. What does productivity mean for you? Leave a comment so we can all compare notes on this one. You know mine. What's yours? What does it mean for you? And with that brings us to the end of this part of the conversation, friends. Thank you for tuning in today, and if you enjoyed the episode or you got something from it, don't forget to subscribe and share it. Don't be greedy. Share it out with people that you think would find this enjoyable, useful, helpful, whatever the word you want to put in. Share it out. And if you want behind the scenes videos, head over to the Patreon page. If you prefer free downloads, head over to the Buy Me a Coffee page. Don't forget, I have a YouTube channel, and if you fancy keeping up to date with me Monday to Friday, come over to the blog. All the links you need for all of that are in the description below. So don't forget to join me next week, friends, as we continue to get productive without wearing ourselves out. I've got some great tips for you next week, which, I can barely wait to share them with you. But until then, you take care of your wee self.